all of a sudden, Mitch McConnell is pretending to be concerned about the national debt. And he decided to share his concern as soon as Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer brought up the necessity for an additional stimulus bill that actually helps fund states in their efforts to combat coronavirus, and also helps to provide some economic relief to average Americans who clearly have not received the financial help that they've needed through the first stimulus bill. Now, Schumer told Democratic senators in a conference call that there will be a phase 4 bill. And he also said we will need a big, strong, and active COVID 4, meaning COVID stimulus package 4. It will have to come very soon, and needs are large and great. So look, he's right in that. I wish that there was a little more of a fight in the Senate, because as we reported yesterday, the Senate did agree on their version of the next stimulus package, which does not have the funding for states that Democrats claim that they're fighting for. And so that's a huge issue. But what's also a huge issue is they're losing the messaging fight, because they are coming off, this is my analysis, people might disagree, but in their failure to get the concessions that they needed from Republicans, they have positioned themselves, or at least made themselves be perceived as weak. And then at the same time, Republicans are messaging that Democrats were stalling. They were the ones who were holding up the bill at a time that, people are in desperation, businesses are in desperation, small businesses need this money. And so you have the Mitch McConnells of the world going out there and making it seem like Democrats are the bad guys, when in reality, Republicans are fighting hard to just keep bailing out failed corporations and companies. Now, we needed additional money and additional funding for the small businesses, but as we know, a lot of that money ended up going to companies that are not actually small businesses. So unfortunately, Democrats are also losing the messaging war right now, and they should be amplifying what I'm about to play for you. This is Mitch McConnell basically telling Hugh Hewitt that these states don't deserve any help, because they offer these pensions to their workers, and we don't like that. Take a look.
The state governments are going to be smashed up by this, but there is no Chapter 8 in the bankruptcy code. Who are you going to, for states? No states can go bankrupt. Local governments can go bankrupt and reorganize. Who are you going to task to lead the effort on deciding what to do or not to do for the states?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a broad discussion throughout the conference. I mean, we all represent states. We all have governors, regardless of party, who would love to have free money. And that's why I said yesterday we're going to push the pause button here, because I think this whole business of additional assistance for state and local governments needs to be thoroughly evaluated. You raised yourself the important issue of what states have done, many of them have done to themselves with their pension programs. There's not going to be any desire on the Republican side to bail out state pensions by borrowing money from future generations. So this is a much bigger conversation.
It's incredible, because those pensions, like, people work and contribute to their pensions. Mm-hmm. Like the way that Mitch McConnell frames this is just so disgusting. And if Republicans could have their way, if people like Mitch McConnell could have their way, regardless of what job you do, even if it involves back-breaking labor, you will work till the day you die. Screw your retirement, screw your pension, who cares? If you have a state that has, a well-thought-for pension for their state employees, well, we're going to go ahead and retaliate by not bailing you out, bailing the state out, helping the state out during this pandemic, even as trillions of dollars are going to these massive corporations in the form of bailouts.
Yeah, it's really amazing in several different ways. One, the propensity of Donald Trump to betray those who have shown the most loyalty and support to him has now trickled down to the rest of the Republican Party. And so is he screwing over Democratic governors? Yes. Is he also screwing over Republican governors? Yes. And if I was a Republican governor who was looking at the possibility that My state's going to be devastated by the economic ramifications of this, as well as the mounting death toll, which also, if I'm just being a craven politician, is going to hurt my chances of being reelected. Because sure, maybe Donald Trump is immune to the responsibility of presiding over a horrendous situation, but other politicians probably aren't going to have that sort of protection. I would be incredibly frustrated with the Republican Party nationally if I was a Republican governor and I was seeing that. I mean, it should be clipped out all the time. The idea that we should help the states should be very carefully evaluated. The help that they need is pretty clear and not that difficult to come by. I mean, I understand they don't want to hand over a ton of money, even though they 100% should. They don't even want to fund testing kits, as if the worst case scenario that they are trying to avoid is we get to the end of the coronavirus and it's like there's like a pile of testing kits. Oh, that was such a waste. Disaster. We don't have anything to use these testing kits for. That's really what they're acting like. I agree with you that to the extent that the Democrats can completely flub the messaging around this, they've done, for the most part, they've done that. I mean, they've passed a few bills that were never going to get past the Senate. I mean, that's pretty good, but it's never going to get past the Senate. What is protecting them is that, and it's always the thing that protects horrible Democrats, is that the Republicans are so obviously cruel and disinterested in protecting the lives of their potential voters that's starting to stick. And the evaluation of the response has been dipping over time. That's only going to get worse as we pass, maybe tomorrow we pass 50,000 deaths. I mean, yesterday we had more than 2/3 of a 9/11. The day before that, we had about 2/3 of a 9/11. We're pretty much averaging every 2 days we pass a 9/11 in totally unnecessary coronavirus deaths. And if you are in charge, as the Republicans are, in virtually every aspect of American governance, some people are going to reasonably put that on you. And so that might protect some of these Democrats from completely, wasting this opportunity, wasting it both in terms of potentially helping people and also helping themselves to get back into power.
And look, guys, this is the reason why I brought up the Pelosi ice cream video on the show, because it's not about demonizing someone who has wealth. It's about the optics that come through when you're already losing that messaging war when it comes to helping average Americans in this fight. But it just like emphasizes to people that the party isn't really looking out for them, that it's all talk. Because on that same day, 22 million people were reported to have filed for unemployment. Not all on that same day, but it was reported that 22 million people filed for unemployment as a result of coronavirus. And so it's just so tone deaf to put out a video like that. But look, I want to go back to a genuine bad guy, and that's Mitch McConnell, because if you think the first video that we showed you was bad, get a load of this.
I agree. I think people do not understand how badly mismanaged some states have been and their unfunded liabilities. And if they were in the private sector, they would have to reorganize under the bankruptcy code. But there is no bankruptcy code chapter. Do you think that we need to invent one for states so that they can discharge some of these liabilities that were put in place by previous governors? Jerry Brown ran a giveaway program for public employee unions that was just astonishing, and as did Gray Davis, as did, it's just a lot of Democratic governors. Illinois is probably the worst, in Connecticut. They've just given money away for years to people who aren't working.
Yeah, I would certainly be in favor of allowing states to use the bankruptcy route. It saves some cities, and there's no good reason for it not to be available.
It's amazing. So he is advocating for states to go bankrupt. Don't look to us for help, even in the middle of a pandemic. And it's just so devastating, because think about how many of these working Americans pay their taxes. They don't get these freebies in their federal income tax. Mitch McConnell had absolutely no problem with $10 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthy. $2 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthy over the next 10 years. No problems with that, right? Yeah. He has no problems with trillions of dollars in bailouts for massive corporations. But when it comes to helping the little guy, when it comes to ensuring that states stay afloat, they should file for bankruptcy.
Yeah, and from the very beginning of this, before it hit America, there has been a fundamental disagreement between the people who fear worst case scenario is lots of people die, with the people who fear worst case scenario, the stock market really gets hit. And, before they took it seriously, before it was here, they said that we were hyping it up to hurt the stock market. Remember that? We just want to I hate my 401k. I want to destroy it. That's what they said. They didn't want to do the lockdowns because that would hurt businesses. Now they're restarting early to try to help businesses. And the one of the most tragic things, second only to 45,000 Americans dying already, is that the exact tactics that we have been advocating for from before the first American deaths of coronavirus not only would have saved those lives, but also would have been the best possible strategy to limit the economic damage, to limit how long we need to be in quarantine, to allow us to resume normal life with the protections necessary to make sure that we don't have a double dip or double peak, I should say. It was all there the whole time, and they fought us. And as a result, many, many people have lost their lives and far more are likely to, and the economic damage has been as bad as possible. Now, they've been able to stem a bit of it in terms of how it affects them, but it didn't have to be this way.
And just to be clear, some of the, proposals that Chuck Schumer is demanding are good proposals. He just needs to fight for it. One of the most important things that we need to provide to essential workers is hazard pay. They are putting their lives on the line to go out there and do their jobs. So enough with like the sweet talk about how they're heroes. How about treating them like they're heroes? How about treating them like they're human beings? And so hazard pay is a big part of what Chuck Schumer's fighting for, or should be fighting for. He's proposing it. And of course, there are needs for state funding and additional help for everyday Americans who aren't able to work right now. They want $2,000 a month for the next 6 months, recurring payments, so people are able to pay their bills.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.